My name is Nachance Pauline, and I'm going to take you through my topic and the lesson as I'm going to present it to my students with its visuals. First, before the start of the lesson, I'll take my students through the motivation and the relation creation part, whereby I'll interact with my students in different ways, whereby like I can tell them stories and also make them sing to get motivated into a lesson. I chose a topic of European imperialism in East Africa, and I used the diagram to elaborate more about the topic of study. Under this topic of study, the subtopics that I chose are scramb and partition of East Africa, establishment of colonial rule in East Africa, the Buganda Agreement of 1900, and African response to the establishment of colonial rule. To explain more about my class, the learner's characteristics and the class level are: I'm dealing with an inclusive class consisting of the deaf/hard of hearing students and the hearing students. I'm teaching students of senior 2, term 2, and I have 48 students in my class, where 10 are completely deaf, 20 are hard of hearing, and 18 are hearing students. The deaf students and the hard of hearing students are more than the hearing students, and in so they are above average. First, acquire a lot of visuals to enable all students engage and achieve a common goal in academics. The students are of age 15 to 16 years, meaning that they are average. To the identified difficulties faced by my students, it's that these students are faced with the communication difficulties, whereby through use of visuals, they can preferably express themselves and in the same way understand others. They are also faced with development of interpersonal problems like feeling rejected, isolated, and neglected, which makes them be self-reliant. First, the engagement with friends through role-playing and active learning help to curb such feelings, whereby by role-playing you can bring about visuals, what and so on, to help them engage with other students in active learning. Under the subtopic of scramb and partition of East Africa, I used different visuals, and these include the diagram, as you see it, this one, then the link, which will take us to the video. Once clicked, then I also went on and used the cause and effect graphic. And in the same way, I used the process word graphic. Then under the subtopic of establishment of colonial rule, I used the picture, as you can see it here. Then video link, which will take us to the video about establishment of colonial rule. And in the same way, under that subtopic of establishment of colonial rule, I used the line art and the word spider with photos. Under the subtopic of Uganda Agreement 1900, I used a map, a photo, then a schematic diagram, and a mind map. Then, under the subtopic of African response to the establishment of colonial rule, I use the graph, a diagram, a spice chart with visuals, then the cause effect diagram. And below, it will explain why I use different visual aids and in which part of the lesson they will be used. First, I'll explain about the diagram, the video link, the picture, the line art, cause and effect graphic, process word graphic, word spider graphic, the map, photo, the schematic diagram, mind map, the graph, spice chart with photos, and the use of different colors in my work. Yes, that's all I have to exhibit with my visuals that I'm going to use in my lesson with the topic and the subtopics identified.